Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Video Clips. And usually on Fridays, most Fridays actually, I've shared with you a segment called Consequences, where we talk about the awful things that are happening to people as a result of the government shutdowns and that sort of thing. Today, I actually have some great news to share with you, and I think you're going to be very, very excited to hear it. Just a couple of things I'll remind you of. Tomorrow is the basic research class at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're registered for that, don't forget about it. And also, this is a combination Make Americans Free Again, Ohio Stands Up announcement I'm going to share with you. So if you're interested in joining our movement after you hear what I have to say, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. I do conference calls every week at noon on Thursday to help people learn about what we're doing and to get involved so that we can make all of this go way faster. Okay, so first I'm going to read the press release, and then I'm going to read something else to you. In March of 2020, the Department of Health and Human Services took the unprecedented step of issuing a new rule for the way that COVID-19 deaths were counted. The rule created a system that counted COVID-19 deaths differently from any other cause of death, and that would result in COVID-19 being the underlying cause of death more often than not. The result is that deaths from COVID-19 have been dramatically inflated as compared to any other cause of death. To make matters worse, the Department of Health and Human Services and state partners then began using case counts for COVID-19 as a method for determining policy. This was done using PCR testing as a basis for diagnosis, despite the fact that most test kits used include a disclaimer stating that they should not be used to diagnose COVID-19. We submitted this information to the federal court. Under federal law, the presentation of statistics must be done in a way to ensure the integrity, quality, and utility of the federal statistical system. The new motion, filed 2/3/2021, requests a temporary restraining order, and that DHHS, the Department of Health and Human Services, show cause for these actions which indisputably are not meeting the integrity, quality, and utility standards required. Quote, while we recognize that COVID-19 is a real virus that has hurt and killed people, it is indisputable that the response has always been focused more on fear than science. We strongly believe that policy and personal decisions about protecting yourself and your family should be made with honest data and not based on misleading information presented to stoke fear. It is time for the COVID agenda to end and for science to step in. Now, I'm going to read to you just a little bit from the lawsuit, and you can go to makeamericans.freeagain.com, and you'll see that we posted it there in its entirety. It's about a 12-page temporary restraining order and show cause action. So I just want to tell you what it says. If pursuant and all that kind of stuff, I'll forget all of that. We're asking for a temporary restraining order, or TRO, and a preliminary injunction against the defendants, which is the Department of Health and Human Services, Centers for Disease Control. Quote, the use of the March 24th, 2020 rule, changing the death reporting procedures as applied to only one disease, COVID-19. The impact of this injunctive relief would be to maintain the status quo during the course of this proceeding by requiring death reporting for COVID-19 to be done in the way that every other known disease is reported until such time as this case progresses further, and the use of case reporting based on unreliable testing procedures such as PCR testing without the proper creation of a national standard for PCR tests and a uniform definition of what a case is. Plaintiffs also request that the court issue an order to show cause requiring the defendants to appear and demonstrate the following. A, that PCR testing is by itself an accurate means of diagnosing the COVID-19 disease. B, that the number of COVID-19 deaths reported from DHHS agencies accurately represents the number of people that have died as a direct result of COVID-19 disease. And C, that the number of COVID-19 deaths reported from DHHS agencies is not statistically higher as reported under the existing rule than they would have been had those deaths been accounted for under the rules laid out in the 2003 Coroner's Handbook. In addition, under the show cause action section of the lawsuit, given the importance of presenting honest data in a situation such as that which we are facing in the United States, we also ask the court to order cause be shown for scientific peer-reviewed proof of asymptomatic spread, scientific proof that COVID-19 is spread by asymptomatic school-aged children, scientific proof of the effectiveness of cloth and paper masks at preventing the spread of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, scientific proof that face masks do not create other negative consequences for those who wear them, including loss of oxygen, that the outcomes of the response to COVID-19, including masking, business closures, stay-at-home orders, travel restrictions, and other such policies have resulted in fewer COVID-19 deaths when counted using traditional guidelines than increases in domestic violence, drug overdoses, deaths, and suicides, and the rate of death per confirmed case of COVID-19 in individuals under 60 years of age is statistically higher than the rate of death in individuals under 60 years of age for influenza based on the dominant flu strains from the past 5 years. And we filed that on Wednesday, late Wednesday afternoon with the federal court. So we have now filed an action in the state of Ohio challenging the emergency declaration, in New Mexico challenging the emergency declaration. We have filed a lawsuit against the federal agencies back in December challenging the emergency declaration. We have filed for a temporary restraining order and a show cause order to the agencies responsible for this. And we are getting ready to file emergency declaration challenges in 2 additional states. I can't tell you which ones right now, but well down the path, attorneys retained, et cetera, and we'll have 2 more states on board with lawsuits very, very soon. So if you want your state to be part of this, if you want to help us with this, we need all hands on deck if we're going to solve this god-awful problem and mess that we find ourselves in. But I thought it would be nice to end the week by sharing something really marvelous with you. It's time for people to answer for what they've done, and we're going to make them do it. And if it takes the rest of my days on this planet to do it, we're going to make them do it. All right, that's all for now. As usual, pass this on to other people who need a little bit of hope and would enjoy learning more about what we're doing here and about this COVID debacle. And my email address is pampopper@msn.com. If you're interested in the classes we teach here, doing anything that you, ranging from consumer help with health on up through professional training and political activism like this, pampopper@msn.com. Have a great weekend. What a great way to finish the week. And I'll be back to you next week with more news.